The crisp autumn air filled my lungs as I unlocked the door to my secluded cabin in the woods, the familiar scent of pine and damp earth welcoming me home. Nestled among the towering trees, it was my sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world, a place where I could escape and find peace. But as I settled in for the night, a sense of unease crept over me, like eyes watching from the darkness beyond the window. I brushed it off as nerves, blaming it on the isolation of the forest and the eerie stillness of the night. Yet, as the hours passed, that feeling only grew stronger, a prickling sensation at the back of my neck that refused to fade. And then, just as I was drifting off to sleep, I heard it. A twig snapping outside, followed by the sound of footsteps crunching through the fallen leaves. My heart pounded in my chest as I bolted upright, straining to hear any sign of movement in the darkness. But there was nothing, only the whisper of the wind through the trees and the distant hoot of an owl. I told myself it was just an animal, a deer or a raccoon wandering through the woods. But deep down, I knew it was something more. As the night wore on, the sense of being watched only grew stronger, until every shadow seemed to hold a hidden threat, every rustle of leaves a potential danger. I lay there in the darkness, paralyzed with fear, my mind racing with 1,000 possibilities. Who or what was out there, lurking in the darkness, stalking me like prey? Was it a deranged hunter, a lost hiker, or something far more sinister? It wasn't until dawn broke, casting its golden light across the forest floor, that I dared to venture outside, my heart still racing with fear. But as I searched the surrounding woods, there was no sign of anyone or anything out of the ordinary, no trace of the stalker who had haunted my dreams. Relieved yet shaken, I returned to the safety of my cabin, vowing never to venture into the woods alone again. Yet, even as I locked the door behind me, I couldn't shake the feeling that the eyes were still out there, watching, waiting for their next opportunity to strike. And as I settled in for another restless night, I knew that no matter how far I ran, I would never truly escape the terror of the woods. The experience left a lasting mark on me, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted, even in the safety of my own home. It took months of therapy and sleeping with all the lights on before I could even begin to feel safe again. But even now, whenever I hear a twig snap or the wind rustle through the trees, I can't help but wonder if the stalker is still out there, waiting for me to let my guard down. The fear of the unknown, of what lurks in the shadows, will always haunt me, a constant reminder of the horrors that lie just beyond the edge of the forest. The sunlight filtering through the trees cast dappled shadows on the forest floor as I set out on my hike, eager to explore the wilderness surrounding my family's cabin. It was a tradition passed down through generations, a way to reconnect with nature and escape the hustle and bustle of city life. But as I ventured deeper into the woods, a sense of unease settled over me, a feeling that I couldn't quite shake. Brushing it off as pre-hike jitters, I pressed on, following the winding trail as it meandered through the dense undergrowth. Yet with every step I took, the feeling of being watched grew stronger, like unseen eyes boring into the back of my skull. I quickened my pace, desperate to escape the oppressive weight of the forest. But no matter how fast I ran, the feeling followed, a dark cloud looming over me. Hours passed in a blur of fear and uncertainty, until at last I stumbled upon a clearing bathed in golden sunlight. Relieved, I collapsed onto a nearby log, my heart still pounding in my chest. But as I caught my breath, a rustling in the bushes caught my attention, sending a chill down my spine. I froze, my eyes scanning the dense foliage for any sign of movement. And then, emerging from the shadows, came a figure unlike anything I had ever seen before. Tall and gaunt, with eyes as black as night, it loomed over me with a hunger that sent shivers down my spine. I scrambled to my feet, my mind racing with terror as I backed away, desperate to escape the creature's grasp. But it was no use. With lightning speed, it lunged forward, its long, gnarled fingers wrapping around my throat with a strength that left me gasping for air. I clawed at its hands, trying in vain to break free, but it was like fighting against a force of nature itself. And then, just as I felt myself slipping away into darkness, a voice cut through the fog of fear, echoing in my mind like a distant memory. It was my grandmother's voice, soft and soothing, a beacon of light in the darkness. With every ounce of strength I had left, I called out to her, willing her to hear me, to come to my aid. And in that moment, as the creature's grip tightened around my throat, I felt a surge of warmth wash over me, like a protective shield against the darkness. And then, just like that, it was over. The creature vanished into the depths of the forest, leaving me shaken but alive. As I stumbled back to the safety of the cabin, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death, that something far more sinister lurked in the shadows of the woods. And as I drifted off to sleep that night, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets the forest held, and if I would ever truly be safe again. The experience left a lasting mark on me, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted, even in the safety of my own home. It took months of therapy and sleeping with all the lights on before I could even begin to feel safe again. But even now, whenever I hear a twig snap or the wind rustle through the trees, I can't help but wonder if the stalker is still out there, waiting for me to let my guard down. The fear of the unknown, of what lurks in the shadows, will always haunt me. A constant reminder of the horrors that lie just beyond the edge of the forest. The wind howled outside my window as I sat alone in my small, dimly lit apartment, the silence broken only by the occasional creak of the old building settling. I had always been a night owl, finding solace in the quiet darkness, but tonight felt different. As I scrolled mindlessly through my phone, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled in the pit of my stomach. It was as if someone or something was watching me, lurking in the shadows just out of sight. I tried to brush it off as paranoia, but when I heard a faint scratching at my door, my heart skipped a beat. Slowly, cautiously, I approached the door, my hand trembling as I reached for the doorknob. With a deep breath, I swung the door open, expecting to find nothing but darkness on the other side. But what I saw froze me in place. There, illuminated by the dim light of the hallway, stood a figure shrouded in darkness, its eyes gleaming with a hunger that sent shivers down my spine. Before I could react, it lunged forward, its razor-sharp claws slashing through the air with a terrifying ferocity. I stumbled backward, my heart racing as I frantically searched for something, anything to defend myself. But it was no use. In a matter of seconds, the creature had me pinned to the ground, its foul breath hot against my neck as it whispered words of unspeakable horror into my ear. I struggled against its grasp, my mind racing with fear and confusion. How had this thing found me? What did it want? But no matter how hard I fought, I couldn't break free. And as the creature's grip tightened around my throat, cutting off my screams, I realized that I was truly helpless. Hours seemed to pass in a blur of pain and terror, each moment stretching into an eternity of agony. But just when I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, the creature suddenly released me, its dark form disappearing into the shadows as quickly as it had come. Gasping for breath, I lay on the floor, my body trembling with shock and exhaustion. As the first light of dawn began to filter through the curtains, I struggled to my feet, my mind reeling from the nightmare I had just endured. I knew that I would never be able to forget the horror of that night, or the feeling of helplessness that had consumed me. But as I surveyed the empty room, I couldn't shake the feeling that the creature was still out there, lurking in the darkness, waiting for its next victim. And as I closed and locked the door behind me, I couldn't help but wonder if I would ever truly be safe again.